This is an open letter to Mr. Tucker Carlson, Mr. Elon Musk, and Mr. Tucker Carlson uh, regarding open borders. Here's the thing, folks. I'm sure you remember about 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, China was uh, basically encouraging. For decades, China was discouraging the movement, concentration of population in the cities. For decades, were preventing it, discouraging it. But then for the last 30, 40 years, China has encouraged the participation, the migration of uh, their villagers into the cities. They've been, encouraging it. Not to one city, but to, bigger cities. And the whole point was because you need them concentrated out of farms and into the cities in order to train them to perform certain function which promotes economic growth. Um, and those functions are, a lot of them are very hard and very dangerous. So the city dwellers are not, the city dwellers that have been living in a city, were born in the city, are not really, you know, desperate enough. So you need the villagers who are eating shit. You need those villagers so they are very appreciative of a little higher standard of living than they were getting in the villages. So because they're appreciative of that, they are willing to do and perform a little dangerous and hard job as well, as long as, relatively speaking, they're out of shit hole and, they're on dry ground. So they're willing to do more for less, even if it's a little dangerous or harmful. This is the idea. The villagers, you bring them to the cities, normal size cities, and then you train them to perform certain functions that the city dwellers are very reluctant to do, to say the least. They're reluctant to do because they were born in cities and they were, they have certain standards and, they have certain knowledge and they can think a little. The city is not that bad. Cities are good to, learn shit. When you're in a country, if you have access to books and internet, you may be able to learn, but up to this point in time, you had to go to the cities to learn more because all the libraries were there and all the access to, information and interesting people were concentrated in the cities. So the city dwellers, they're more, more informed and less likely to, wanting to become cannon fodder. I'm being very frank here. Forgive me. Whoever has to forgive me, please forgive me. I'm gonna get shot. Anyway, here's the thing. What Uncle Sam's managers are doing with regards to border, in my view, my humble view, has 4 reasons. Actually, it has 3 reasons. And an example of it you can see in China on what they did, why they did it, and the result that they got was, it's a good, respectful results they got. But Uncle Sam's managers, they can't, there are no more rural places in Uncle Sam's land. Not that much. They don't have much population. So you got Iowa or you got Wyoming with a population of a city in the whole state. So there is not that much left in the rural places. There is concentration of population in the cities, and the city dwellers don't do hard shit, dangerous shit, don't want to do. Some were convinced to do after 9/11, whether it was fake or real. Some were convinced to do, that convinced them to participate in empire expansion of the empire. But then, slowly everybody has come around that maybe 9/11 was actually made up. And a lot of people are pissed off, especially because, how is it that the Saudis did this, then we went to Afghanistan, and then we went to Iraq, and Saudi, what happened? These were Saudis. What the fuck is my cousin doing in Baghdad? So, and then Syria. So, the whole idea is that the first reason for these, which I think is the most important reason, is geopolitical is important. That there is left and right it's said by the global south, the BRICS and others have joined in the choir that, hey, how come is it that 5% of the world population, which is the population of Uncle Sam, how come 5% of the world population has the most say in the world? Its laws carries on in overseas, and they can just pass a law and start confiscating Russian ships and the Iranian ships and the Korean ships and Venezuelan ships, and it just what the global south and in general the rest of the population on earth is saying. How is it that 5% of population has so much say in what we do in the world? We have to somehow try to accommodate their laws instead of the international laws. We have to accommodate Uncle Sam's laws, although they only have 5% of the world population. And they consume 25% of the world resources. So by importing large numbers, the Uncle Sam's managers are trying to basically buy some clout. I believe the word is clout. To buy some weight in the world by increasing the numbers, dramatically. They basically say, oh, was it 5%? Well, now we have 10% of the world population. So suck our dick. So here's the thing. And then it's the idea of they're using these states. The idea that, Mr. Trump said, I think he said, or somebody else said about Mr. Trump, that if you owe $1 million to the bank, you owe the bank, but if you owe $100 million to the bank, which is worth 150 million, then you owe the bank. You own the bank. In case of $1 million, you owe the bank. In case of 100 million debt to the bank, you own the bank. So imagine if 3/4 of the population of Nicaragua is also American citizen, and 3/4 of population of El Salvador are also American citizens, and 3/4 of you basically now they become unofficially Nicaragua and El Salvador and Honduras and Panama, and unofficially become the new states of Uncle Sam. In a way, they are functioning as the rural villages of China. That your Uncle Sam is pulling these young working age men. I saw these white dudes on the internet refer to them as white as young military age men. You can look at them as young military age men and get your panties in a bunch, or you can look at them as young working age men. And basically United States in one case is using these small countries in Central America and even Mexico and Panama. They're using them to bring the same way the Chinese use their villagers, and brought them to city, trained them, gave them some skills, and then put them to work for economic growth of China. Now, the thing when I said the city dwellers don't want to do hard shit and dangerous shit, but I can assure you, the Honduran guy, he will do here for decades. In small numbers, have come to United States, have gone to United States and performed dangerous shit and hard shit, and they got shit as income, but still, it's better than living in shit. That shitty little income they get as illegal labor with no benefits, that little, they even pay more benefit into the system that they take out of it, because they have no right to take anything out of it, but meanwhile, while they're working, they pay into Social Security. Anyway, that's another joke. So it's sort of like slave labor. But if they pay into the Social Security, but there is no chance ever taking anything out of Social Security, what does that mean? That means it's a kind of slavery. They're working for free. They're working, but those people in Uncle Sam's land who are withdrawing from Social Security are taking. These guys are only paying, who are working illegally. They're paying into Social Security. Whoever they're working for, they're they, on their behalf, some of their income goes into Social Security by law. And a lot of pensioners right now, as we speak, are withdrawing that money that these guys deposit. They're withdrawing. Slave labor, because these guys have no chance of ever getting Social Security. So you're paying to something that you can never withdraw. Extra tax, slave tax. Anyway, my point is this. They're using the open border people. They're using these smaller countries the same way China used its villages. You invite them in, and you put them to work. Why? Because have you seen the infrastructure? If Uncle Sam's managers want to reach the Chinese level of infrastructure, they need labor who's willing to work hard and take shit. You see, hard, dangerous shit. And that is, that is what infrastructure needs. That's people, building new bridges and building new railroads and building new roads and building this and building that and building the other. It's all hard, dangerous shit. None of your feminists are going to do that hard, dangerous shit. And your men are also reluctant to do all that hard, dangerous shit, because they're citizens and they have rights, and they have, they pay taxes, and they are, they are a subject of the empire, and, they don't take shit. So you need the Honduran guy to take shit and build a fucking bridge. Anyway, so my point is this. So that dangerous shit, these people are willing to do hard, dangerous shit, brings me to the second point, second reason why these people, why the owners of the empire have opened the doors, and I'm sure it's going to be even open wider. The second reason is these people are willing to do hard and dangerous shit is the military. Military, as you know, in Uncle Sam's land, has been running short on recruits. People are not volunteering. City dwellers, unless you can manipulate them, manipulate their emotions through a 9/11 size incident, occurrence, unless you can, bring some volatility and emotions into the game, the city dwellers will not, volunteer to put themselves in danger and hardship, which being a soldier in the military is. Hard, dangerous shit. And city dwellers, after 9/11, maybe it was a different story. People were manipulated and their emotions inflamed, so they joined. But unless something similar doesn't happen, which I hope that it doesn't, if something similar doesn't happen, there's no chance these guys are going to reach their quotas, because more people are informed that a lot of unnecessary wars are taking place. More people are informed. Day after day, more people are informed, and this is, the internet. This is, when more people are informed, less people want to. Information is good. More people are informed, thank God, and that means that more questions rise. Become people when they're a little more informed, which internet eventually does bring information, is people become less uh, less less less, you can say, pushover, less simple-minded, not willing to believe any shit that comes out of Fox News or MSNBC. So because they're hearing other shit that some of them actually does makes a little more sense than Fox News and MSNBC. So once they're like that, you can't convince them that about the facts, or the facts that you want to convince them. You can't convince them. You can basically they become less manipulatable. You can't manipulate them as easily if they become more informed. And internet has brought them more information, so they can't manipulate them. So less people are joining for expeditionary activity at the peripheries of the empire. So what are you left with? You're left with, okay, let's open the door to women, and let's be okay with homosexuals, and let's be okay with transgenders in the military, and let's be okay with uh, be okay with maybe some lack of education is okay, maybe some small criminal activity if was done in the past is okay too. So they have brought down their standards in order to be able to meet the numbers that they feel necessary they need to run an empire. And the more they have brought their standards very, very low, in fact, I saw an ad on YouTube about positions, uh, positions in the military for senior citizens. Positions in the military for senior citizens. Basically, they're saying, okay, you can come out of retirement and sign up with us, and we give you some kind of desk job, because the senior citizens is not going to be can't do desk job, can't do much else, can meet and greet too. I'm not sure what kind of positions are available in the military for the senior citizens. However, anyway, my point is this: that when the numbers are really running really low, and because of this frivolous wars, it's a lot of people have been demoralized, have been put off. It's like, what the fuck? We thought we are we didn't think we are an expeditionary force at the peripheries of the empire, and there we go. We saw ourselves there exactly at the as an expeditionary force for expansion of the empire. So these from Central and Uncle Sam's manager have a long history of telling illegal or legal, they can always bend the law. Illegal immigrants. Somebody has to be in some way owe Uncle Sam something to. At which point Uncle Sam would tell them, Uncle Sam's managers would tell them that if you join the military, if you're illegal immigrant and you owe us for coming here and bothering us, if you join the military and fight on our behalf, on the behalf of our empire, we will provide you with papers. We will give you citizenship. And then you can apply and bring your wife and children and whoever else the fuck you want to bring. But you have to join and fight for us for 2 to 5 years. So I think it's 5 years. So my point is this: Uncle Sam's managers have a long history of doing exactly this, giving amnesty to those illegal immigrants, those immigrants who wanted papers, didn't qualify to have the papers, but wanted papers as a citizen. And then Uncle Sam asked them, okay, join the military, do practice this hard, difficult job, and we give you papers at the end. So this is another thing. Another thing that, again, if the empire wants to stand, but then you might ask them who's exactly benefiting them from the empire? Is the citizens benefiting from the empire? No. Who is benefiting? A few, uber rich corporations. Let's give one example which everyone of us know. The owners of Walmart, the shareholders of Walmart, the Waltons of the Walmart family. I mean, these guys are a winner. Your O'Reilly, the owners of O'Reilly Corporation, which sells auto parts. These folks benefit from the expansion of the empire. If they, Mark Zuckerberg, benefits from the expansion of the empire. The point is this: these corporations, the more territory they have that from which they can make money, put up stores virtually or in reality, and make money, they love it, because the more the merrier. They can make more money. So these are guys benefit from the expansion of the empire. The rest, not so much. Nah. Even if, living in the richest country in the world, a lot are suffering because of, being poor, and a lot of suffering from being undereducated, under culture, underinformed. The biggest sin of all is underinformation, being underinformed. Okay, my point is this. So they need these people to kickstart infrastructure projects around Uncle Sam's land. And they need these folks because these folks are willing to do hard, dangerous work for not much money. And if there is a papers waiting for them at the end, that would be even better. So these hordes, as you call them, of illegal immigrants, this is one problem they solve. They will jumpstart the, infrastructure projects around Uncle Sam's land for little money and probably, hopefully, a promise of some papers. The second thing they jumpstart is the military. If Uncle Sam, that I'm not sure if I agree with, but this is the idea. They can't recruit local native of Uncle Sam's land because, overweight and undereducated and over criminal and, all of that issues. And informed people who don't want to sign up for unknown projects around the planet. So they're not signing up. But the Honduran guy and the Nicaraguan guy and the El Salvadoran guy and the Panamanian guy and the Venezuelan guy and the Colombian guy and even some Mexican guys, if you give them promise them papers as a citizen of the empire, they will join the military and do whatever you tell them to do. They will not ask questions because they probably would have not understand English. You want the kind of soldier that knows as little as possible. That's the kind of soldier you want. And these guys, they know very little. They're from villages around Nicaragua. How much information you think they're going to get in the village, from the villages, while living, growing, and adopting the mindset of villages of Nicaragua? They're not going to be very, very informed. You can manipulate them easily, and you can, send them wherever in the world you want to perform whatever you tell them to perform, because they're not very, they don't question why. They can't speak English, so they probably, don't know how to say why. But the point is this: so that solved the military's problem as well, these open borders. In a few years, I'm saying in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. And solves the infrastructure and all the projects that Uncle Sam's managers are behind, from China and Russia even. So uh, that solves the infrastructure. They will solve the infrastructure problem as well. And as I said, the first thing was, eventually these small countries will be absorbed into the bigger country, will be part of the bigger country, whether they are noticing it or not. If 3/4 of Nicaraguans are also American citizens, there is no Nicaragua or America. They're not separate states because, all of them are all of you. It's much like Israel, which is, all of Israel is Europeans and North Americans. So there is really no Israel. There is Europe and North America residing. Some European and North Americans are residing at the east side of the Mediterranean. There is no country. It's like they've decided to reside there. And the same thing will happen with Nicaragua and Honduras, and Venezuela and Colombia. They're going to be there, but it's like what you do if your 3/4 of your population are also American citizens. Can you make any decisions based on Venezuelans' interest if 3/4 of your people are American? There is, it becomes the territories becomes a bit irrelevant. Honduras, how would a Honduran president ever, the idea of, if you owe 100 million to the bank, you own the bank. If 3/4 of population of Nicaraguans, you own them, they're American citizens. American citizens are basically owned by their government. Let's be frank. They give you a number, social security number, and they're watching you 24/7. So, we are, Americans, anybody living in America is owned by, the government. You don't have that number, you don't exist, period. If you don't have that number, you don't exist. So that's being owned by the government. If they give you a number and it's the most important number in your life, it's like you're a prisoner. They know you by that number. And it's the most important thing in your life, that social security number. If it's compromised, you're fucked. Imagine that. In prison, if your number is compromised in prison, the same thing, you're fucked. They don't know which cell to put you. Imagine you're in prison and everybody forgets your number and you don't know your number. You're an intruder in prison. They don't know which cell to put you and you probably end up in the toilet. So, my point is this. The third point is the matter of, well, CIA and NSA. You see the shortcoming that the Chinese and the Russians and the Indians, not less Indians, but mostly the Russians and Chinese, the disadvantage they have is that they don't have agents that look like Africans. They don't have agents that look like Middle Easterns. They don't have. They have very specific shape and complexion, and they can't melt into the crowd in a Middle Eastern country or a South American country or European country. But you see, when you have so many varieties, then intelligence agencies have a wide open hand of selecting more people to do espionage in their home country for them, because they're literally from there. They melt into the crowd and start gathering information. But the Chinese, intelligence ministry can't count on this advantage because, they can't. They don't look like they don't have anybody looking like Africa. And you can tell about this fact that, Uncle Sam's managers, when they want to be able to have some kind of a understanding with African countries, they basically, choose an African American, a black person, a guy with black skin, as the head of the Defense Department, and they send them to Africa to make friends. Innocent enough, make friends. you're the same color, you probably they won't be as offended as the last time we Europeans showed up with the light skin and we fucked them up the ass. They won't be as offended. They won't be on guard when they see us, because let's be frank, the Africans, you know, asshole titans every time an European, they see an European in Africa. If I was an African, my asshole would tighten every time I see a white man or woman in Africa, because, you know, I know we're gonna have problems. So anyway, so they have a Secretary of Defense, who's black guy, so, hey, go make friends. And you know, and in England they pick a couple of, you know, Indian, a couple of ministers with Indian heritage, and they say, oh, you're brown, go make friends in India. I love the pink skin, not all the pink skin. I mean, I love the way that this upper echelon of the pink skin society has no shame. There is no shame to their game. There is no shame to the game. Anyway, my point is this, and here goes the intelligence, the CIA, both as agents on the ground. They need people who can melt into their back in their home country. So believe me, CIA is, you know, is having a hard on right now, but with all the opportunity that is coming across the border from all over the planet. You yourself, Mr. Elon Musk, you reported that they're coming from all over. You just went back to the border yesterday. Oh, they're coming from all over the planet, and this and that and that. You know who has a hard on right now, knowing that, you know, every top member of the CIA is like, opportunity. These are all the people that which means that from a bigger pool they have a chance of recruiting, both as translators, you know, translators of, you know, secret communications between people of different languages on this planet, both as translators and agents on the ground, agents away from the ground, analysts. They need people. If they can speak that language, even better. They need, you know, a lot of people. Intelligence agencies are, you know, overflowing with people. Because when you run an empire and, you know, and everybody's always being watched, you need a lot of people to watch people. An empire has got 8.5 billion people, more or less. There is some disagreement between the members, how many people are living under the empire. Uncle Sam's managers thinks everybody is living under the empire, and those who don't want to live under the empire, they're under sanctions. So my point is this. So here you have the intelligence agencies have a hard on for all this opportunity that is coming across the border. And then the military I'm sure they have a hard on for all these potential recruits that are coming across the border. All it takes is a law. A law saying that if you participate in the military, we give you citizenship. If you don't participate, we deport you. Make your choice. And I'm sure I would be tempted to take that option. But then my conscience is in the way that, you know, I'm helping to expand the empire. Because here's the thing, I don't have any problem with the empire. Here's the thing, I don't have any problem with an empire, but an empire that is run well. But there has been no attempt in running the empire well in the past 100 years. I mean, the problem with the empires is too much, and you can't run it with a democracy. You can have an empire, but you can't run it with a democracy for a long time, because uh, becomes a lowest common denominator as the crowd, as the common man becomes less informed, lazier, less informed, more to enjoy, wants to more enjoy more and learn less. That's the ideal condition of us humans, that we want to learn less and enjoy more. That's what we like to do. But then, and you get to do that if you're a citizen of empire, near the heart of the empire. That you get to, learn less and enjoy more. That's natural. Because there's no difficulties. There are no, there are no. Uh, uh, there are very much less difficulties. You can eat without too much difficulty at the if you're a citizen of the empire. So you tend to learn less and enjoy more, because you don't have to struggle. And that's what happens at the center of the empire. And then these people who learn less, and because they don't have to struggle a lot, they can learn less and enjoy more. Then because they learn less, they choose leaders. If that's not a democracy, you can still manage. If your people learn less and enjoy more, if it's not a democracy, you may get away with it, because you prefer your people to learn more, and so you may from time to time artificially make their life a little difficult to help them move along and learn more, learn as much as they have to. But it's up to you as the ruler. But in a democracy, it becomes a vicious cycle. People learn less, enjoy more, then they relate to people who have learned less and enjoyed more. Ergo, they vote for George W. Bush. George W. Bush wins by a hair, or maybe a little, not a hair, maybe they cheated. Whatever happened, a lot of people voted for Bush. The point is this, because they identified with Bush, because Bush knew less, they weren't offended by his intellect, and Bush enjoyed more, which also the population also identified with. He did cocaine, and he did alcohol, and he did this, and he did that, and he did the other, and they didn't look so down upon him. If it was in the 1940s, George W. Bush didn't have a chance in hell to be elected, because the population wasn't, had learned more and enjoyed less. So a guy who has learned a little and enjoyed a lot, like George W. Bush, wouldn't have a chance in hell of getting elected in the 1940s or 1950s. But as the citizens learned less and enjoyed more in the empire, then they elect leaders. If it's a democracy, they're in trouble, because then they elect leaders who have read less, learned less, and enjoyed more, because they identify with those leaders. So George W. Bush gets elected, and George W. Bush fucks up the whole thing, and starts a couple of wars that many presidents after have been trying to wrap up, and the whole system has become a little, I've learned less and enjoyed more, and learning less and enjoying more has become normal, inspirational. Then you have problem. The empire will not will have issues. So you can have an empire, but you can't have a democratic empire, because you start a vicious cycle. Citizens become learn less and enjoy more, and then choose leaders who know less and have enjoyed more, and then those leaders don't care about the citizens knowing less and enjoying more. They don't care about that. They don't understand the pitfalls of learning less and enjoying more. So they encourage their population to learn less and enjoy more, because they'll have learned less and enjoyed more. So it's a vicious circle from the leader to the population. From the leader to the population, they keep encouraging each other to learn less and enjoy more, as if it's a virtue. The result is that, when it comes to infrastructure jobs, hard infrastructure jobs, which you think you need, and you need people to do it for, and not expect the moon and the stars as income, then you have to, go to Honduras and Nicaragua. And what better way if you actually invite them in? Because these guys coming to United States illegally is basically is advantageous to Uncle Sam's big managers, because now they have an upper hand. They have something on them. If they come legally, the managers can't really fuck them up the ass as good as they want. The managers of the job sites. If they're legal workers, the managers at job sites, the owners, the accountants can't really fuck them up the ass good. But, in terms of pay and benefits. But if they are illegal, they can fuck them pretty good. In fact, if you're also promised papers as a resident and eventually a citizen, you let them fuck you a little more. You're willing to put up with it because it comes with a big benefit. So the whole idea is this open border business is good for military, CIA, all the infrastructure jobs that needs to be done around Uncle Sam's land. So they are good. They need to be organized, which eventually will. Just they import them into the cities as you can see. There's going to be a little chaos, and then they're going to, lock them down, and then organize them. Give them social security number, but not as a citizen, but as a worker, and then they're going to hopefully promise them, citizenship if they join in the, construction of infrastructure in Uncle Sam's land. Basically, last time they imported slave labor from Africa, now they're importing slave labor from Central America. What's the problem? But there is no other option. That's the thing. There is no other option. Military don't have any option, and the construction, the infrastructure jobs that need to be done, you have very little, chance of success with the local labor, because the native labor in Uncle Sam's land is, has learned less and enjoyed more, and is not willing to, bend it and take it up the ass. Which what it takes to be realistic, bending and taking it up the ass is what it takes to the volume of work that needs to be done on the infrastructure of Uncle Sam's land, because it has been neglected for past 50 years at least, 60, 70 years. So everybody has a hard on, from the military to the CIA to the infrastructure people, to civil engineers, civil engineering companies all over the United States. This is their wet dream. It's just that they have to be organized, and they will be organized eventually. They will gather them in camps and then give them social security numbers and promise of a paper if they join the military, the CIA, or some infrastructure corporations to do manual labor around the country.